You know, the Bible says, to whom much is given, much shall be required. And we're just really blessed in this church, in this city.
The tide is rising, the earth is moving, the path is changing now.
So what we're doing today is to say thank you. Thank you to our profession, who have been so generous again and again and again and again.
You know, like Middle East not very great for gay people, and that makes it a little bit hard, too much hard for me.
It meant shelter. It meant I get to not even study, but I get to be safe.
The roots run deep and flow to the river. The river widens and clings to the land. The land is under my feet as I walk to you. I reach for your outstretched hand.
Clearly, Toronto is a destination of choice for many refugees and many new immigrants to the country, and particularly for gay or lesbian ones. Our church needs to respond to that need, and with 68 countries in the world where we can still be arrested and 10 where we be executed, then many gay and lesbian people, their lives are at risk. So it's an obligation of our church to respond.
I don't know exactly how would be my life there. Like right now, you mean, like if I didn't come here, I don't know how would be there, like, you know. I don't know. I have it could be maybe worse than before.
I welcome the world outside, arms open wide.
We know this sort of a constant theme of this event is often building bridges. And it's very interesting that in this case, MCC, through Brent and everyone who works there, has been about building a bridge from us to MCC, to SAFE, and between SAFE and us, because, I mean, we're not religious people, and yet over the years have become very good friends with Brent. And then as a result of that friendship and that common bond, there was a bridge built there that he trusted us enough to ask the initial question. And then they had already been building a bridge to SAFE, you know, from a Christian church in Toronto to a Muslim young man in the Middle East.
He took me to church and they showed me that church, and we went there. I think it was really good for to have gay and go to church.
If you look back through the years in terms of the human rights advances, certainly sometimes those advances have been made because people have protested, we've marched, we've signed petitions, we've lobbied. Sometimes those advances have been made by politicians who are courageous and willing to stand up. However, many times the gains that we have made have been as a result of court cases, particularly with the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And frankly, we would never have been able to take on many of those cases if it wasn't for the generosity of a variety of lawyers. And many times lawyers, gay and straight, have stepped up and said this is a human rights issue, and lawyers have a great tradition of doing pro bono work. And so a variety of lawyers have said, yes, we'll take on these different causes. And so it's been their generosity that's made it possible, and their brilliance, frankly, at presenting the court cases and winning the arguments in front of the judges. And so a lot of the human rights that we've got have been because of generous and brilliant lawyers.
Somebody's hand, make this world a better place. If you can, reach out and touch.
Oh, wow. When I first got here, I was coming from a Catholic school, so it meant shelter. It meant I get to not even study, but I get to be safe, which is the essential fundamental blocks of education. Like, how can I learn when I don't feel safe and I'm not okay? So it meant safety for me. For MCC, there would be no triangle. There'd be so many kids falling through the cracks. So I am so grateful for the MCC.
Triangle was a really important move for me because at my old schools I was always being bullied, I was always being ostracized. I was like the kid in the back of the room, you know, where I'd sit in the cafeteria and I'd get food thrown at me and there'd be people snickering about me in the halls, you know, that kind of garbage that goes on in schools. And so I felt really ostracized. I felt different, I felt unloved, I felt unwanted, all that kind of stuff, and it made me not want to go to school ever again. But when coming to Triangle, really changed my opinion on school because suddenly I was part of a community. Suddenly it was okay for me to be myself.
It's quite amazing to see what's happening on a Sunday here at MCC Toronto. But you know, there are many communities around the world and in Canada where we're never going to have an MCC. And the miracle of the internet, the miracle of a way of reaching out virtually to those individuals is in front of us. It's a tool that's there. And when you go online and you search the internet, you'll find lots of churches there. But almost all of them are fundamentalist, and almost all of them are homophobic, frankly. And so we don't want to give up that space. The justice work we've done is continued around the world, and that the spiritual work that we're doing, giving people hope, continues around the world.
But now I'm found.